There comes a moment in almost every life when quitting feels easier than continuing, when the weight of effort feels heavier than the promise of reward, and when the quiet voice inside begins to whisper that maybe this is the sign to stop. It is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it arrives softly, after repeated disappointments, after giving your best and still feeling unseen, after trying again and again while wondering how long you are expected to hold on. In that fragile moment, words matter. Not loud slogans or empty motivation, but honest truth. And sometimes, the most powerful truth comes from someone who has lived through years of struggle without losing dignity, Elon Musk's mother. May Musk revealed something through her life that most people never talk about when discussing success. She did not reveal shortcuts. She did not promise ease. What she revealed was something far more important, that endurance, when practiced quietly and consistently, changes everything. Her life stands as a reminder that strength is not always visible in the moment, and progress is not always obvious while it is happening. She has spoken openly about starting over, about financial instability, about raising children alone, about being underestimated, about being afraid and still moving forward. There was no guarantee that things would work out. There was no applause while she struggled. There was only the decision to continue, one day at a time. This is where her message becomes deeply relevant to anyone thinking of quitting. Because most people do not quit when things are impossible. They quit when things are simply hard for too long. Before you quit, it is worth remembering that struggle does not mean you are failing. It often means you are learning something that comfort could never teach. May Musk did not build her life through sudden breakthroughs. She built it through persistence during seasons when quitting would have felt reasonable, even logical. She did not wait to feel confident. She acted while feeling uncertain. And slowly, that action built confidence. Many people believe that successful lives are driven by constant clarity. Her life proves the opposite. Clarity often comes after commitment, not before it. You do not need to see the entire path to take the next step. You only need enough courage to move forward with what you have. Waiting until fear disappears is often just another way of staying stuck. She rebuilt her career later in life, at a time when society often tells people, especially women, that their best years are behind them. She did not accept that narrative. She worked with discipline, patience, and realism. She did not expect perfection. She expected effort. And that made all the difference. This is an important reminder for anyone who feels behind, delayed, or out of time. Life does not run on one universal schedule. Progress measured against others will always feel inadequate. Progress measured against your own values feels grounding. Before you quit, ask yourself whether you are tired or truly done. These two feelings often get confused. Exhaustion clouds judgment. Discouragement distorts perspective. Rest can restore motivation, but quitting often closes doors that were never truly locked. Musk's story reminds us that it is okay to pause, but it is dangerous to underestimate what one more step can change. She also revealed something quietly powerful through her parenting: the importance of allowing struggle. She did not shield her children from difficulty, because she understood that resilience is built, not inherited. That same truth applies to you. The discomfort you are experiencing now may be shaping strength you will rely on later. Easy paths rarely prepare us for meaningful responsibility. Before you quit, remember that the most important growth often happens when no one is watching. There are seasons where effort feels invisible, where results lag behind work, where doubt grows louder than hope. These seasons are not signs to stop. They are often signs that foundations are being laid. What you build in obscurity becomes what supports you when visibility arrives. Her life also challenges the idea that success should arrive quickly. She understood that consistency compounds. Small actions repeated over time create outcomes that sudden bursts of effort never can. Quitting often happens when people expect linear progress in a world that rarely moves in straight lines. Setbacks do not erase progress. They refine it. Before you quit, consider what quitting actually offers. It promises relief, but that relief is temporary. It removes the pressure, but it also removes possibility. The regret that follows quitting something meaningful often lasts longer than the discomfort of continuing. Persistence, on the other hand, builds something quieter but more powerful: self-respect. Knowing that you stayed when it was difficult changes how you see yourself. Musk has never framed perseverance as glamorous. She has acknowledged fear, fatigue, and uncertainty. But she did not allow those emotions to dictate her identity. Feelings pass. Decisions remain. This distinction matters. You can feel afraid and still be brave. You can feel tired and still take one small step forward. Before you quit, remember that confidence is not a requirement for action. It is often a result of action. Waiting to feel ready keeps many people frozen. Moving forward imperfectly builds momentum. Momentum builds belief. Belief builds courage. The order matters. She also revealed the importance of responsibility without self-blame. When things went wrong, she focused on what she could do next instead of drowning in guilt over what should have been. Blame paralyzes. Responsibility empowers. Ask yourself not what failed, but what is still possible. Her life shows that adaptability is strength. She changed paths, redefined herself, and allowed her identity to evolve. This is not quitting. This is growth. There is a difference between abandoning effort and redirecting it. One comes from fear. The other comes from clarity. Learning to tell the difference is one of life's most important skills. Before you quit, ask whether you are running away from discomfort or moving toward alignment. Discomfort is temporary. Misalignment slowly drains the soul. Endurance does not mean suffering endlessly for something that no longer matters. It means not letting fear decide your worth. She has spoken about kindness toward oneself during struggle. This is not weakness. It is sustainability. Harsh self-judgment drains energy. Compassion restores it. You are more likely to continue when you treat yourself as someone worth supporting. Before you quit, remember how far you have already come. Stress has a way of erasing memory. You forget the obstacles you survived, the versions of yourself you outgrew, the moments you thought you would never get through. Yet you did. You are still here. That alone is evidence of strength. Her story reminds us that life is long, and chapters change. What feels like failure today may later reveal itself as preparation. Quitting too early often means never discovering what your patience could have produced. Time connects dots we cannot yet see. She never presented herself as extraordinary. That may be the most encouraging part. You do not need to be exceptional to persist. You only need to be willing. Willing to try again. Willing to learn. Willing to stay when leaving would be easier. Before you quit, imagine looking back years from now. Will you be grateful that you honored your fear, or proud that you honored your potential? Potential rarely demands attention. It waits quietly, hoping you will not abandon it. Her life also shows that dignity in struggle matters more than speed in success. How you carry yourself during difficulty shapes your character. That character stays with you regardless of outcomes. External success can come and go. Inner strength remains. Before you quit, give yourself permission to be unfinished. Your life is not a performance. It is a process. Some days you will move forward confidently. Other days you will move forward slowly. Both still count. Courage is not loud. It is often the quiet decision to continue when no one would blame you for stopping. Each time you make that decision, you strengthen something inside that cannot be taken away. Her journey also reflects independence without isolation. She did not wait to be saved, but she also did not pretend she needed no one. Strength includes knowing when to stand alone and when to accept support. Before you quit, remember that the skills you are developing right now are transferable. Discipline, patience, resilience, humility. Even if the destination changes, the growth does not disappear. Nothing you genuinely work through is wasted. She showed that success does not have one shape. Life can be rebuilt more than once. Identity can evolve. Starting again is not failure. It is courage in motion. Before you quit, sit with the idea that this moment may be shaping you more than any comfortable season ever could. That the struggle you resent today may become the strength you rely on tomorrow. Musk's life does not promise ease or certainty. What it offers is something steadier and more honest, the understanding that persistence compounds. That dignity survives difficulty, and that it is never too late to continue. When quitting feels tempting, remember this. You do not have to have everything figured out. You do not need approval. You do not need guarantees. You only need to stay. One more step. One more attempt. One more day of believing that your effort still matters. Often, that is enough to change everything.
There are moments when the mind convinces you that stopping is wisdom, that walking away is maturity, that protecting yourself means letting go. Sometimes that is true. But many times, it is fear wearing the mask of logic. Fear speaks calmly. It sounds reasonable. It reminds you of your past failures, of your limited energy, of how much effort you have already invested with so little to show for it. It tells you that quitting now will save you from future disappointment. What it rarely mentions is how much strength you will lose by listening to it. Musk's life quietly exposes this illusion. She did not continue because she believed success was guaranteed. She continued because she believed quitting would slowly erode her self-trust. That distinction matters. When you abandon something meaningful too soon, the damage is not just external. It becomes internal. You begin to doubt your ability to endure. And once that doubt settles in, it spreads far beyond the original situation. Before you quit, notice how often your desire to stop appears when you are overwhelmed rather than incapable. Overwhelm is temporary. Incapacity is rare. Most people underestimate how much pressure they can survive, especially when that pressure is applied gradually. Strength builds quietly, layer by layer, through experiences you once thought would break you. She revealed something else through her journey. Survival itself is an achievement. There were times when her goal was not success, recognition, or growth. Her goal was stability. To keep going. To keep food on the table. To keep dignity intact. These seasons are not failures. They are foundations. A house built slowly still stands. Many people quit because they believe their effort should be rewarded faster. They assume that hard work must immediately translate into visible progress. When it does not, discouragement sets in. But life does not operate on emotional timelines. It operates on accumulation. Small, consistent actions compound in ways that are invisible until they suddenly are not. Before you quit, consider how often you have already survived what once felt unbearable. At some point in your past, you were certain you would not get through something. Yet here you are. That is not luck. That is resilience you forgot you had. Musk did not allow her circumstances to define her ceiling. She accepted reality without surrendering possibility. This balance is powerful. Denial leads to recklessness. Surrender leads to stagnation. Acceptance allows movement. You acknowledge where you are without deciding that this is where you must remain. there is also something deeply grounding in her refusal to dramatize her struggles. She did not build her identity around victimhood. She built it around responsibility. This does not mean ignoring pain. It means refusing to let pain become the center of your story. You are more than what you have endured. Before you quit, ask yourself whether you are expecting certainty in a world that rarely offers it. Many people stall because they want guarantees before committing effort. But guarantees are the reward of action, not the condition for it. You learn by moving, not by waiting. She also showed that independence does not mean isolation. Strength does not require silence. Asking for help is not weakness, it is strategy. Continuing does not mean carrying everything alone. It means refusing to give up on yourself even when you lean on others. Before you quit, recognize that your pace does not invalidate your progress. Slow movement is still movement. Resting is not the same as retreating. Taking care of yourself is not abandoning your goals. The danger lies not in slowing down, but in stopping entirely out of self-doubt. Her life reflects another uncomfortable truth. Sometimes effort feels thankless because it is meant to build character before it builds outcomes. Character determines what you can handle when opportunities finally arrive. Without it, success becomes fragile. Before you quit, think about the version of yourself that began this journey. That version believed something was possible. That belief may feel distant now, but it was not foolish. It was intuitive. It came from a deeper place than fear. Respect that earlier courage. It carried you further than you realize. She revealed that identity is not fixed. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to outgrow old dreams and refine new ones. But evolution requires honesty, not escape. Leaving something behind because it no longer fits is different from leaving because you doubt your worth. Before you quit, notice how often comparison fuels your frustration. You measure your chapter against someone else's highlight and conclude you are behind. But lives unfold differently. Timelines differ. Capacity differs. Comparison erases context, and without context, judgment becomes cruel. Musk's journey reminds us that patience is not passive. It is active endurance. It is showing up repeatedly without immediate reward. This kind of patience builds emotional stamina, the kind that carries you through long seasons of uncertainty. Before you quit, ask yourself a simpler question: what would continuing look like if you stopped demanding perfection? What if success today meant effort, not outcome? What if progress meant staying engaged rather than achieving closure? She also demonstrated that self-respect grows through kept promises to oneself. Each time you continue despite discomfort, you reinforce trust in your own word. That trust becomes the foundation of confidence. Confidence built this way cannot be shaken by external opinions. Before you quit, remember that fear does not disappear after quitting. It simply changes shape. The fear of failure becomes the fear of regret. The fear of trying becomes the fear of what might have been. Choosing which fear to live with is unavoidable. Her life shows that resilience is not dramatic. It is repetitive. It is choosing responsibility again and again when motivation fades. It is continuing without certainty. It is refusing to let a difficult season define a permanent decision. Before you quit, sit with the possibility that this struggle is not blocking your path but strengthening it. That the resistance you feel is not proof you are doing something wrong, but evidence that something meaningful is being formed. There is a quiet kind of courage that does not announce itself, that does not feel powerful while you are living it. It shows up when you wake up tired and still choose responsibility. It appears when hope feels thin but you refuse to let go of your standards. This is the courage Musk lived by, long before her name became associated with success or recognition. It was not confidence in outcomes. It was loyalty to effort. Before you quit, understand this: motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. If continuation depended on motivation alone, very few people would ever finish anything meaningful. What carries you forward is discipline mixed with self-respect. You continue not because you feel inspired, but because stopping would contradict who you are becoming. She revealed that resilience is built in ordinary days, not extraordinary moments. Most growth happens when nothing exciting is happening, when progress feels slow, when repetition becomes boring. This is where many people quit, mistaking monotony for stagnation. But mastery grows in repetition. Stability grows in routine. Strength grows in consistency. Before you quit, notice how often your mind confuses discomfort with danger. Discomfort signals growth. Danger signals harm. Learning to tell the difference is essential. Growth stretches you. It does not destroy you. Avoiding all discomfort eventually shrinks your life. Her life also demonstrates that responsibility creates freedom, not the other way around. Taking ownership of your situation, even when it is unfair, gives you options. Blaming circumstances may feel justified, but it traps you. Responsibility opens movement. Before you quit, consider how much of your identity is still forming. You may feel behind because you are comparing your unfinished self to someone else's polished result. But becoming takes time. Rushing the process often produces fragile outcomes. She also showed that self-worth should not be negotiated with external approval. There were long periods when her work and effort were unnoticed. Yet she continued because her values did not depend on validation. When you rely on applause to persist, silence becomes unbearable. When you rely on purpose, silence becomes manageable. Before you quit, remind yourself that fear thrives on isolation. Speaking your doubts does not weaken them, it often shrinks them. Strength does not require pretending everything is fine. It requires honesty and forward motion. her journey revealed that restarting does not erase progress. Skills, wisdom, resilience carry forward even when circumstances change. Nothing you truly learn is lost. Starting again is not starting from zero. Before you quit, ask whether your expectations are realistic for the season you are in. You cannot demand peak performance while ignoring exhaustion. Adjusting pace is wisdom. Abandoning direction out of frustration is not. She lived through seasons where success meant survival. Those seasons matter. They teach humility, patience, and gratitude. They also teach you how much you can endure without losing yourself. Before you quit, understand that persistence does not mean forcing outcomes. It means staying engaged while allowing life to unfold. Control is limited. Effort is not. Focus on what is yours to give. Her life also shows that you do not need to prove anything to continue. Continuing is not about winning arguments or silencing critics. It is about honoring your own commitment to growth. Before you quit, notice how often your inner voice is harsher than anyone else's. You would not speak to someone you love the way you speak to yourself in moments of struggle. Changing that voice can change your willingness to continue. She revealed that courage often feels like doubt plus movement. Waiting to feel fearless keeps many people stuck. Fear does not disqualify you. It accompanies you. Before you quit, consider that endurance builds clarity. Many people wait for clarity before acting, but clarity often arrives after sustained effort. Movement creates understanding. Her story also reminds us that progress is uneven. There will be advances and setbacks, confidence and confusion. This inconsistency does not mean you are failing. It means you are human. Before you quit, remember that walking away from something meaningful changes how you relate to future challenges. Each time you stay, you strengthen your ability to stay again. Each time you quit out of fear, quitting becomes easier next time. She did not build her life on dramatic wins. She built it on reliability. Showing up. Doing the work. Staying steady. This kind of reliability builds trust in yourself. Before you quit, reflect on what continuing teaches you, even if the outcome changes. Discipline teaches patience. Struggle teaches humility. Persistence teaches self-belief. These lessons are permanent. Her life shows that success does not remove struggle, it simply changes its shape. If you quit now to avoid difficulty, you may only postpone learning how to face it. Before you quit, allow yourself to imagine a future where you are grateful you did not stop. That future version of you exists. It is shaped by the decisions you make now. Continuing does not require certainty. It requires choice. A choice repeated quietly, day after day, until strength becomes familiar. At some point, you begin to realize that quitting is rarely about the situation itself. It is about how tired you are of carrying uncertainty. It is about how long you have been strong without reassurance. It is about how often you have kept going without being told that you are doing well. May Musk's life speaks directly to this quiet fatigue. She did not wait for reassurance. She built her own steadiness. Before you quit, understand that no one arrives to hand you permission to believe in yourself. That permission is taken, not given. Waiting for someone else to validate your effort places your life in their hands. Choosing to continue returns that power to you. She revealed that endurance reshapes identity. You are not the same person after surviving something difficult with integrity. You carry a deeper calm. You trust yourself more. You know, not intellectually but experientially, that you can handle uncertainty. This knowledge becomes an anchor in future storms. Before you quit, recognize that not all rewards are visible. Some rewards appear as inner stability, emotional maturity, and quiet confidence. These are not celebrated publicly, but they define how you experience every part of your life. Her life also teaches that resilience is cumulative. Each season you endure strengthens the next. The strength you are building now is preparing you for responsibilities you may not yet have. Quitting early does not just end the current struggle, it delays the growth that comes with it. Before you quit, consider that effort does not expire. The work you put in today may reveal its value years later. Life often makes sense backward. Decisions that feel heavy now may feel obvious in hindsight. She never portrayed herself as a victim of circumstance. Even when life was unfair, she focused on what remained within her control. This mindset does not deny hardship. It prevents helplessness. You may not control outcomes, but you always control response. Before you quit, remind yourself that survival itself is proof of capability. You have already done hard things. The fact that you are questioning whether to continue means you care. And caring is strength, not weakness. Her journey also shows that you do not have to rush healing to keep moving. You can be hurt and still be responsible. You can be uncertain and still be committed. Waiting to feel perfect delays progress indefinitely. Before you quit, accept that growth often feels lonely. Not everyone will understand why you continue. Not everyone will see the value of your effort. But understanding from others is not a requirement for self-respect. She revealed that dignity in struggle matters. How you carry yourself through difficulty shapes your relationship with yourself. That relationship lasts longer than any result. Before you quit, notice how often you underestimate the impact of staying one more day. Momentum is fragile. Once broken, it takes time to rebuild. Continuing protects that momentum, even when it feels slow. Her life demonstrates that perseverance is not stubbornness. It is adaptability guided by values. You adjust methods without abandoning purpose. You bend without breaking. Before you quit, imagine explaining this moment to someone you love. You would encourage patience. You would remind them of their strength. You would tell them this is not the end. Offer yourself the same grace. She also showed that confidence grows from lived evidence, not affirmations. Each time you keep going, you collect proof that you can be trusted. That proof builds quiet confidence. Before you quit, understand that quitting does not erase fear. It simply shifts it into a different form. The fear of trying becomes the fear of regret. One of these fears leads to growth. The other lingers. Her life reminds us that it is never too late to continue. Time lost is not time wasted if you learn something. Starting again later is still starting. Before you quit, allow yourself to believe that your effort has meaning, even if the outcome is uncertain. Meaning does not require guarantees. She did not chase motivation. She practiced responsibility. Over time, responsibility created stability, and stability created opportunity. Before you quit, remember that life is not asking you to be perfect. It is asking you to be honest and persistent. Perfection exhausts. Persistence sustains. Her story ultimately reveals this simple truth: continuing is an act of self-respect. It is saying, quietly, that your future deserves your effort. Before you quit, take one more step. Not because you are sure. Not because it is easy. But because you are still here, still trying, and still capable, and sometimes, that choice, to stay, to endure, to continue, is the moment everything begins to change.